I think systemically, when you take a step back and you're looking at the shrinkage in the GDP, you're looking at freight volumes and trucking volumes, another story's emerging. Can you speak to what you're seeing, Senator?
Yeah, so these Latinos, men and women, aren't basing their feelings on the stock market. Not that some of them don't invest in the stock market. Some that I'm sure have 401ks or IRAs or are invested themselves. What they're responding to is the slowdown in the economy, right? These are the men and women that are your truck drivers, your delivery, short haul delivery people. They're the ones that work at factories. They're the ones that do hourly work. And when they feel the contraction in the economy, they're the first ones that feel it, right? They're the waiters. So like if they start seeing tips being, less tips coming in, they're the ones that are working at factories, the ones that are working on construction sites. And so if there's any slowdown, they're the first ones to feel it. And that is what they're responding to. So Besant and the president can come and say whatever they want to kind of ease the markets. If these men and women feel that they are unstable, uncertain about their future, they're getting fired or they're getting their hours reduced, they're going to be unhappy. It doesn't matter what the stock market is doing. And, if you look at what happened in the first quarter, GDP contracted by 0.3%. And that's, that's even before tariffs are fully get queued in. Wait to see what happens in the second term. So this is something that is going to negatively give an opinion. They're just not going to, right now, they're not going to trust Republicans when it comes to the economy and immigration, which are the two things that a lot of them did trust last time going around.
Well, how could they trust your Republican colleagues when you try to show objective data to them about the economy? What do they say? But have you read The Art of the Deal? Have you read The Art of the Deal? It's a book, everybody.
Yeah. Well, I never try to talk to anybody about it, like bring objective data to the conversation. I try to keep it extremely as close to reality as possible, and what they understand, and which not just Latinos, but everyone understands. Are your wages going higher? Have prices gone down? And normally they just tell me no, that's not the case. And if you do that enough, they'll figure it out. And I think there's going to be a lot of spinning that's going to happen from the right, from Donald Trump. At the end of the day, inflation's still high. You still can't buy a house in Arizona. Rent's still high. You can't buy a vehicle cheaply anymore. And now there's a really good chance that you're going to be losing your job. So everything that any trust that they've had for this president is now quickly eroding.
You're a veteran. You were in the Marines. I want to ask you your view about how Donald Trump's been handling the military, Pete Hegseth's careless handling of classified information, gutting of the VA. What have you made of all of their moves there?
Yeah, let's start with two separate things. Number one, this administration is the most anti-veteran administration in the history of this country. And I'm not even close, right? Today we had the VA secretary at our committee hearing, and he could not pinpoint why and where he came about that he wanted to cut the workforce of the VA by 15%. There's no logical reason to it. There's no study. There's nothing. They just came up with this number. Some Doge boy out of, San Jose, California, who has zero experience with, the VA, came up with this number, and now they're executing it. Recently they tried to float the idea of changing Veterans Day to World War II Day, World War I Day. Like, how stupid are you to even think about that? There's veterans that are starting to see the effects of some of these cuts, where we're hearing about, therapists that have to have some of their sessions in open air cubicles, which is horrible for privacy matters. It is all bad. And it doesn't surprise me. Again, this man has zero concept of selflessness, self-service, or service to the country. He thinks if he just acts tough, that the veterans would be happy with him in the end. And that's not the case. On the military side, the lack of leadership from Hegseth, as well as just the fact that they're entirely eroding our world alliances and making the world more unstable, is what I think also pisses off a lot of veterans. We feel that the president's pissing away years and years of a stable relationship with stable and reliable alliance with our European partners. They're making us weaker versus China. All these things that some of these veterans and people that were military minded did not think would happen are now happening. In addition to just, again, the hypocrisy of something like Hexeth talking about, the security, operational security that, we need, and then engaging in such really, really risky information sharing that would have gotten me thrown in jail when I was in the Marines.
Talk about your trip. You're going to Bucks County, I understand, soon. What's they're calling it, the press is calling it shadow primaries. What are you calling it? Why are you getting there?
Well, we're going there because we got invited to go, and we've gotten invites to a lot of places to speak about Medicaid and Democrats. And this is something that I've done before being a senator, traveling the country. Even in Arizona, this last couple of months, I've been traveling to red parts of Arizona to talk about the cuts they want to do to Medicaid, how people are going to get kicked off healthcare, how hospitals are going to shut down, maternity wards are going to shut down, all because these guys want to give a massive, massive tax cuts to billionaires that don't need it and won't even notice it. The Bucks County actually works within my schedule. I have a pretty busy schedule, largely because I have 2 kids and I have a third one coming June 12th. But again, I look forward to talking to the people in Bucks County. They're much like the swing voters in Arizona. They want to hear the straight truth. They want to know that the government's looking out for them. And they certainly don't want to be seeing really critical programs like food stamps, like Medicaid being cut just to help the mega, mega rich.
I want to talk about this crypto bill. It's not getting a lot of attention. You posted about it recently as well. I think this began as a bipartisan effort in theory to put guardrails on these stable coins, build an ethics system around it, and saying, hey, this is the wild, wild west. Let's rein it in a little bit.
Exactly.
So this started with great intentions, but as you just posted the other day, well, Politico wrote Democrats reverse course to oppose this Senate crypto bill. But you wrote, this isn't like a reversal out of nowhere by Dems. The fact of the matter is Dems, including me and my team, were trying to negotiate with Republicans for weeks. The bill that was introduced for floor consideration backpedaled on a lot of progress we made and did not include other improvements we sought. It seems they want us to suck it up and vote for this bill without our input. That's not what we expected during this negotiation and not how I operate. Our statement makes clear we won't let them jam us. Looking forward to continuing to get this bill in a better place. Let's talk about this one first, but then I think it goes to this broader systemic issue where here you are trying to engage people who are difficult to engage with, and then they kind of go sideways on you and kind of change the deal and then make it something that's less palatable. So talk about this bill first. Is it a big deal? What's happening?
Well, look, it is a big deal. We do need to get some legislation through, and reason why, because every other country now has some level of stable coin legislation, and we want to also have that industry, that economy here. But we also want consumer protections. We want national security protections, anti-money laundering protections. And these are things that are fairly reasonable. And I had been working with Republicans and five Democrats on the committee who had worked it and actually passed. And we said when we passed, like, there's more to do, but we want to continue in the spirit of bipartisanship to work on this. And all of a sudden, the language changed. They backtracked on some of the stuff we had already approved. They weren't, even moving forward with further legislation. And then they announced the date of the first vote. And I think the purpose of that was really to put Democrats in a bad position and try to force us to vote for it. As the ranking member on the committee, I just cannot allow them to just jam us and pass bad legislation that has, open loopholes that will create really bad situations for consumers, for investors, all these kinds of things, especially when we're here to work. We're here to speak and try to come up with a good bipartisan bill, but don't try to fuck us on it. Like, that's not going to happen. Right. And they're trying to do these threats where, like, oh, if you do this, the crypto industry is going to say that you're anti-crypto. We're all going to label you guys as anti-crypto. And that only makes me even more intensely mad at them, because now you're just doing more and more threats. We can get a good bill. We could get a good bill that protects consumers, protects investors, brings back a lot of this innovation back to the United States. And we have the time to do it. But you can't throw us in the corner. You can't try to fuck us and then say, like, hey, deal with it. Like, that's just not going to work, especially when you still need our votes no matter what.
I read the bill because I'm a dork like that. And one of the things that I saw in that they were trying to jam through